What are the ways we can add CSS into HTML page?
We can use in CSS style. We can use a style in the CSS. We can three way to use the CSS in HTML. That's what the inline, internal and external. Inline we can use in the tag, which tag we can do style it. Then and in that tag we can use in the inline CSS is called the style in that. But internal CSS we can call it in the header tag. We can choose to do that one. In the external CSS, we can create a separate file and we can call it in the HTML file.
Hi folks, කොහොමද? ඉතින් ඔයත් මේ දවස්වල ඉන්ටර්විව් එකක් බලන් ඉන්න කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ග්‍රැජුවේට් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, එහෙම නැත්නම් එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් තියෙන ඩෙවලොපර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හැමෝටම ගොඩක් ලොකු ඇඩ්වාන්ටේජ් එකක් වෙයි කියලා හිතනවා මේ වීඩියෝ සීරීස් එක. මීට අමතරව ඉන්ටර්විව්ස් වලදී අහන මේන් කන්සෙප්ට්ස් එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරලා මම සිංහලෙන් වෙනම වීඩියෝ සීරීස් එකක් කරගෙන යනවා. ඉතින් ඒකත් බලන්න. ඒ වගේම මොක් ඉන්ටර්විව් එකකට පාර්ටිසිපේට් කරන්න ඕන නම් පල්ලෙහින් කමෙන්ට් එකක් දාන්න. channel එක subscribe කරලා දිගටම සෙට්ලා ඉන්න.
Okay, so in the external file, how can we write styles? Like, how can we catch the elements in the HTML page?
We can use in we can use element name to call that one to we can style, or we can use the ID. We can use the
Okay.
ID to call that one, or we can use the class.
Okay, yeah, ID and class. So, what takes a priority? Suppose I gave the same styles, like for the same element, I have the ID, I have the class. So, I'm giving different styles for the ID and class. So, what takes the priority? Yeah.
Class is priority. Class is priority, but in that one we can first consider the which are the tag after that after in the direct access is which we can use the normally we can use the paragraph into paragraph into we can use div tag we can use into paragraph. So first I give the div tag to the ID tag ID tag. After that I use the paragraph tag to into any class or ID tag. So it's firstly consider the paragraph class.
Okay, that's all right. So let's say I have paragraph tag, right? In that p tag, I gave the ID attribute and the class attribute for the same paragraph, right?
Oh,
So in the external style sheet, for the ID I am giving as color as red. For the class I am giving color as green. So what it takes? Is it ID or class? What takes the priority?
it's class. It's the most
That is not correct. You have to learn more about that. And okay, well, have you used Flexbox? Flexbox in CSS or Grid? Like how you place the elements in the HTML page. So suppose I need to center something, or like for the responsiveness and all. How did you achieve these things?
in the div tag.
Oh, for any tag, like yeah. Suppose I need to like center the element to the page. How can I do that? Like how can you achieve responsiveness like for a page?
It's using the CSS JavaScript.
Yeah, so like when it comes to screens, we have different size for like every screen, right? So, right. So we have mobiles, desktop, laptops, iPads. Like, how can we achieve that the responsiveness?
We can create the style for the different file for responsiveness
Yeah.
that works. So we can
Have you used media queries? Okay, you have to learn about that. And so, like, what is the difference between padding and margin?
margin is the gap between the border gap between the element, but is the padding is gap between the element include the inside the border.
Okay. Okay, so I have two elements, so I need to add some space between these two elements. So what should I choose?
Two element, choose it margin.
Okay, so can we give minus values for the padding and margin?
Yeah, we can give it margin but not padding.
Yeah, correct. Okay, what do you know about the Z index?
So,
Z index, have you heard about the Z index?
index.
Z index. There is a property in CSS. Basically, like you need to have some element on top of another element. So how can you achieve that? So have you seen the header of the web pages like on top of every other elements in that page, right? When you scroll, the header will be fixed on top, and like everything
Yes.
goes under the header, right? So can you explain like how can we keep that behavior?
Yeah, we can use the position as a fixed
True. Yeah.
position fixed element.
Okay. Okay. Then what is the difference between position relative and position absolute?
Uh, uh, Position absolute, it's not change, it's to fix in that place. But position it can be when you scroll it, it's off and in place is replace is off.
Okay. All right. So what do you know about the DOM?
Uh, DOM is it's a hierarchical way we can separate the elements in each of the hierarchical. If we take a HTML, we can separate it a head and body. In the head, we can include the title. In the body section, we can include another text.
Okay. So what are meta tags?
Text is sorry.
Okay. So how can I like uh, open a new tab in from an HTML page? Like basically, if I do something, I need to open it in a new tab. So basically, how can we achieve that? Like
New tab.
yeah, basically open a new tab.
We can call the href to link it the new tab link.
Okay, so there is a specific attribute we need to add if we need to open it in a new tab.
ahref to ahref. We can call it the which page we will go next is. Then we can assign it the link to that href.
Any other attributes other than H-ray? Like we need to add there?
SRC.
Not really. Have you heard about the target attribute? You
Again,
you need you need it there. Okay, I'll jump into JavaScript now. So can you explain the difference between var, let, and const?
yeah. Uh, Consister not changeable things. You can change the value of the um, variables, but later we can change that one. Uh, Var is also like that, but now it's used in older way languages.
Okay, so any other difference between let, var? Like, do you think it's behave same? Like, then why we have two things, var and let?
No, it's not the same, sir, but
Okay, no worries. Can you explain the difference between double equal and triple equal in JavaScript?
uh, double equal is mean uh, it's equal or correct. And triple equal,
So we have different purpose for double equal and triple equal. So I think you will get that to know when I give the coding round. So in triple equal we are comparing the value and the data type. For the double equal we are comparing only the value. So keep that in mind for the output based question round. Okay. And so have you used the map for each filter these methods?
yeah.
What is the difference between map filter, reduce? Can you explain?
Map is call uh, call the variables in the tag.
Have you used for each?
Yeah.
What is the difference like between map and for each?
For each is you only you limited number we can use in the for each.
That is not correct. You can learn more about that. Like we have, um like that's a main. That will be a main question for JavaScript interviews, right? Have you heard about the closures? Okay, no worries. What do you know about callback functions?
Callback function.
No worries. I'll jump to the next one. Have you used set timeout? Set
Yeah, in
timeout,
that
set interval. Can you explain the difference?
set timeout is uh, it working that that period of time. Trouble.
You can learn more about that. So, like, how can we add a new element to a existing array in JavaScript? Like, we already have array, so how can I add new element? Like, we have some inbuilt methods. Oh, let's say we need to delete an element from an array. How can we do that? Okay, no worries. Have you heard about event loop? All right, you can learn more about that as well. I'll jump into React. So, do you have any experience with React?
Yeah, I'm doing my second year project in React, but I'm not familiar with that. I'm just normally know about that.
Okay, no worries. So, what do you know about React? Like, what are the advantages we can have if we use React?
React is a library. It's, it's a library for using the web page. It's a cross-platform using in cross-platforms and single web page language. Uh, it's a component-based language using component to call. We create a common component to call all the needed pages to call all the components.
Okay. So, what do you know about virtual DOM?
Virtual DOM is a virtually serve the memory. Virtual memory is to serve the elements. In,
So, like any benefits we can have, like using a virtual DOM over a real DOM. Like, you know any advantages?
yeah, it's easy to use in virtual DOM, and we can access it quickly.
So, why quickly? So, there is something. So, do you know about that? Like, like you said it quick, right? So, why it's quick? Like, why it's so fast?
It's a virtually stored.
Like, you're trying, but it's not a complete answer. You know, in React we have virtual DOM, and like it's a copy of the real DOM. Like, it compares the changes you have made to the DOM. Like, you know, the real DOM is expensive. Like, you know, in when we do some change in JavaScript, it reloads the page, but in React you do some change, it's not reloading, right? So it's just refresh in the back behind. So it will compare the virtual DOM and real DOM, and it will update only the needed parts, right? It's not updating everything. Like if there is any difference between these elements, then only it will update. Like it's not update everything. So that's the main difference. So you can learn more about virtual DOM. Uh, okay. Have you heard about these state props? These things, state props.
Yeah, I heard about props.
Okay.
Props.
What we why we use props?
Uh, prop is we used to call a variable
No,
in the
that's not correct.
functions.
Like so, you know, when we are passing data from component to component, then there we are using props. So for like, have you done any stage management in a React component? Like, have you used any uh, updates for a component? Like, have you used any mechanism? I mean, any hooks you have used? You are using functional components, right? Have you used any hooks in a React component? Okay, no worries. Have you heard about use state, use effect, those kind of things?
Use
Okay.
state is
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
use state define the state of the
Okay. Yeah. Like to manage state only, we are using use state hook. So that's how we manage state in the functional components. And like we have more like lot of hooks, use effect to manage the life cycle of the React components. So likewise, you can learn more about that later. Have you heard about life cycle for React components? No. Okay. No worries. Okay. Have you done any API handling, API call handling in your projects?
yeah, API handling.
Like what kind of techniques you have used?
API
You don't remember? Okay, okay, no worries. Have you used React Router? Like, in React application, we need to have pages, right? So, how did you manage pages? Okay, no worries. I think you are still learning, right? React? Okay, okay. You have time, you can learn more about that later. So when it comes to browser, we have the local storage, session storage, cookies. So can you explain the local storage and the session storage? So what's the difference?
local storage is we normally store in all details of the collect. In cookies, we get the ones to use in any other functions or using any other things to get any information.
What about the session storage?
sessions storage, we collect some informations to keep the page. Like the user come to the web page to activate, and then they allow the cookies to them, so they collect some informations to use use for the user preference, to give the some details for user preference. We can get that information from the cookies.
Yeah, that's true. But when it's come to local storage and session storage, like we have like main purposes, right? So session, I think you should be knowing that. For session, we like when we close that session, the session storage destroys, right? So for the session storage, like for that session only, we are storing values. But local storage, like it keeps until we delete them, so that's the main difference. I think even though you are doing backend, fronting, anything like these things, you should be familiar. Uh, okay, so suppose I have a website. I need like the performance. It's bit low. Like, can you suggest some ways to improve the performance? Like, I need to check. So, can you suggest something I can do? Anything? I mean, for example, let's say I need to speed it a bit. So what can I check?
We can use virtual storage to store all the data. Then it can be speed for
Like before going for those kind of things, in our code base, so we can simply check, like we can have some mechanisms to increase the performance. So can you think any of like any of simple things I can do in my code base? No worries, you can think of it later. Have you used GitHub? Have you used GitHub? Git? Yeah,
yeah.
for like what commands you have used?
Git admin,
So why did you use GitHub? Git.
Git, we store all of the code information, and we can share it, share to all of the members too. We can change it, and we can pull those things, get
Okay,
it changed.
true. Okay, so what commands you have used in Git? Like we have some main commands.
Git, Git admit, and Git.
I think you can be familiar with Git as well, because that's also uh, like an important part.